Like a lot of them, they didn't modernize the car. They restored it using the components that were on the car as much as they could. So it still has the original dashboard, a lot of the original switches and gauges. The seat, the interior is all pretty much the way it was when he raced it. They did it in the same paint. The car represents itself as it was in 1969. We have about 30 Volvos, so the Volvo feature race should have a really nice grid. And also for the other event, the other races were grouped in Group 2, and they have a bunch of cars. So I think we have the biggest Group 2 of any of the groups around, probably 40 or more cars in there, so it's going to be interesting.
This is a purpose-built or home-built Volvo Special. We used a drivetrain from a rolled-over race car in 1959 from Watkins Glen and built a tube chassis and fiberglass body around it. The car was originally done in '59, sold in '62 to finance a trip to England for Don Davey, and he worked at the Merlin factory, the race car factory. In '96, Fraser's son actually located the car again 250 miles away from where it was originally built, and we reacquired it. And I did the restoration on it from '96 to 2000, and then drove it in 2001 for the first time for its inaugural run. It was actually a really interesting story. The two guys were, Fraser Earl and Don Davey were 18 and 19 years old when they started the project. And Don was 21 when he sold it to go and work in England. It's just an amazing story that two kids could build something like this. Yeah, it's very...
It's a fiberglass bodywork?
Yeah, it's fiberglass front and rear clip and aluminum, the basic doors and the underbody. And it's all done in 1x1 square tubing. It's a very, very unique car. And it's one of one. There's only one ever built. Raced it in 2001, and then we basically retired it in '04, and it sat in his garage, Fraser's garage, for 11 years. So I've only raced it twice this year. This is my second race and my first time here. So it was a real eye-opener coming here. It's a great track, very fast. It's just an amazing circuit. I learned at Mosport, which is a similar circuit, but this is much faster and a little more challenging, I think. And the people are great. I just love this place. I'm coming back for sure. Jim Perry put on a great show, and all of VSCDA. I'm really proud to be a part of this.
grass up front. There is the grass. Yeah, very often.
This is a car that a friend of mine found virtually abandoned outside of Madison, Wisconsin. The car had been setting in the same place for 3 years. It was down in the ground. I bought it for only $90 and I started rebuilding it. I rebuilt it, drove it for perhaps a year on the street, and since then I put it on the track. I've been racing this thing for 41 years now, and with an exception of 1 or 2 seasons, it's run multiple races every season. It's very much a mid-pack runner. It's a relatively simple car. I don't even run an alternator, but I like it. It's mine, and it's really a lot of fun to drive. A word about the Volvo Grand Prix that we had over the years. I was event chairman of the Blackhawk Vintage Classic, Blackhawk Farms Raceway, in the mid-90s, and I long had a, shall we say, a dream, a fantasy of getting a whole bunch of Volvos together. Well, the first one that we did was in 1996, and we had cars coming from both coasts. We had a total of, I think, 15 or 16 race cars then, and it was really the very first Volvo Grand Prix. Since then, the second one that we had was here in 1998, and here we had major Volvo support. We had, I think, 25 race cars on the track. Now, it doesn't quite compare with what we're doing now with the Super Volvo support that we have, and we have over 30 race cars. I think Jim mentioned that. But this has been very much his baby, and he has put this thing together over the last year, and he really deserves a lot of credit for doing that.
This is a 1959 Stangalini. It was obviously manufactured in Italy and came to a distributor who happened to be based in New York. And there are a few Stangalinis around. For instance, this one is serial number 154. And right here in the paddocks, we also have 159 and a Stangalini 157 owned by Joe Colasacco. Well, Joe Colasacco drives for Larry Ariana, and his car is 157. So all these cars came to the U.S., and it was a great period at the time in 1959, for Formula Junior. Formula Junior was started by Count Loriani in Italy. So, what happened at the time was there were a lot of Formula One Grand Prix drivers, but they were all foreign. Fangio and, a bunch of others, they were all foreign drivers and stuff. There were lots of British drivers. So he came up with the idea of actually, developing Italian drivers. So it came up with this concept of formula where you actually have to get parts from all the production cars. So a lot of manufacturers actually got involved into it, including Oscar Maserati and Stangalini and, Trashy and so on, Bandini. And these guys actually came up with these, cars, and most of them were either based in Italy on a Lancia engine or a Fiat engine. But Fiat engine was the more popular engine. And the formula basically said the engine has to be below 1100 cc.
Now, in addition to the Italian cars, I believe the British started getting into the formula.
Yes, big time. In fact, around 59, 60, they started getting into the formula, and there were some front engine cars, built in Britain, obviously, because that's what was there before. The Elva 100, things like Lola Mark II, all these cars, Geminis, they started building front engine cars. But right at the end of 1959, they started getting into rear engine cars, with Cooper and Lotus being the early guys. And, a Lotus 18 came in, and they built a couple of versions of it. One was the Formula Junior version with the Ford Anglia engine. And it really wiped clean pretty much the whole competition. And, they kept going with that, but they also put in a Formula One engine, the 1500 at that time, which Sterling Moss actually raced at Monaco and actually won that Grand Prix against all the Ferraris and stuff. So it was a pretty powerful car. Even Wolfgang von Trips also was in that race. And, he did very well with the Lotus 18 too, before he went to Ferrari.
How long did the Formula Junior Series run?
Actually, by 1963, there were cars like Lotus 27 with, front and rear disc brakes. Basically, Lotus 27 was a Formula One car, Lotus 25 with a smaller engine. So they were very quick cars. The formula had already done its job from 58 to 63, 5 years. Yeah, training people. We started this group called Formula Junior Historics North America because there's one in Europe, Formula Junior Racing Association, and that's very big. Next year is going to be the Jubilee year, and in fact, it's going on right now. And there was a race or there was a series in South Africa, and then now the cars have gone to Australia, and then they're going to go to New Zealand, and next summer they're going to be here. So we're going to have 7 to 8 races here, pretty much at all the Formula One tracks, all the old tracks, including the best tracks. So we're going to get people from Australia, New Zealand, Africa, Europe, England coming here racing with us. So it should be pretty good.